In 1870s Lincoln County, New Mexico, English cattleman John Tunstall and his regulator Doc Scurlock notice a young man being chased for causing trouble. They intervene to save him. This young man is William M. Bonney, later known as Billy the Kid, and bring him to Tunstall's ranch. Soon after, Mexican Indian Jose Chavez and Dirty Steve Stephens get into an argument that nearly escalates into a fight, but Dick Brewer steps in and stops them just as Tunstall, Doc, and Billy arrive. All of them are employed as Tunstall's regulators. Charley Bowdre grows curious about Billy's past and learns he once killed someone. That evening at dinner, Steve and Charley tease Billy while Tunstall tries to teach the young men proper manners, only to later discover that Billy had killed the man who teased him. Tunstall also teaches them how to read journals, during which they realize that Billy is surprisingly skilled at reading. One afternoon, Lawrence G. Murphy and a group of his men, accompanied by Sheriff William J. Brady and his enforcers, pass by Tunstall's ranch. Murphy, an influential land baron, views Tunstall's smaller but principled operation as a threat or at least an irritation to his authority. Although Tunstall tries to keep things polite, the tension between them is obvious. Later, J. McCloskey, once employed by Murphy, arrives seeking work and is warmly welcomed by Tunstall. At a New Year's dance, the regulators enjoy themselves by dancing and drinking. Tunstall talks with his lawyer friend, Alexander McSween, while Doc dances with Murphy's Chinese ward, Yen Sun. When one of Murphy's men attempts to stir up trouble with Tunstall, Charley intervenes and delivers a beating to the agitator. The next morning, as the regulators head home, they become distracted trying to catch birds and fall behind, leaving Tunstall alone. Seizing the opportunity, Murphy's hired gunmen ambush and kill Tunstall. Outnumbered, the regulators are forced to retreat and later bury their fallen leader. Determined to seek justice, Alex arranges for the regulators to be temporarily deputized by Justice of the Peace, Wilson, granting them warrants to arrest the killers. While attempting to capture one of Murphy's henchmen, Henry Hill, alive, a hot-headed Billy executes him in a toilet, sparking a shootout that leads to the deaths of the remaining gunmen. Sometimes later, Doc reads exaggerated newspaper reports portraying the regulators as a dangerous gang, led by the infamous outlaw Billy the Kid, who is said to have single-handedly killed 6 men with extraordinary skill. 3 of Murphy's men track down the regulators, but the gang ambushes them and holds them at gunpoint. During the confrontation, McCloskey tries to persuade Dick to lead the group to Lincoln, intending for Murphy's men to ambush them. However, Billy sees through the deception and shoots McCloskey in the head, killing him instantly. As the remaining men attempt to flee, the regulators gun them down. Sometimes later, Doc reads in other newspapers about Billy single-handedly gunned down 3 men, including a miraculously shot of 50 yards sharpshooting skills. The article even includes a picture claiming to be Billy, though it clearly resembles Dick instead. The gang then learns that Murphy has hired the notorious bounty hunter John Kinney to track down Billy and his gang. With bounty hunters pursuing them across the West and uncertain where to go, Chavez leads the group on a peyote trip. The hallucinogenic experience leaves them disoriented, vomiting, and firing their guns randomly. Miraculously, they pass through an Indian camp unharmed. The next day, Buckshot Roberts, an older man named on their warrants, tracks them down. Heavily armed, Roberts ambushes the gang, wounding Chavez and Doc. He barricades himself in an outhouse during the standoff and ultimately kills Dick. The surviving regulators manage to rescue their injured members and flee on horseback. A wounded Doc separates from the group to travel to Vermont and intends to inform Dick's mother of her son's death. Meanwhile, Chavez reveals that Murphy's corruption caused the deaths of his mother and her Navajo tribe, leaving him as the last of his people. He pleads with the others to let go of their thirst for vengeance, but Billy steps up as the gang's new leader, determined to avenge Tunstall. His first target, Sheriff Brady. That night, Doc secretly goes to Lincoln to see Yen's son. He sneaks into Murphy's house and asks her to leave with him, but she refuses, fearing Murphy's wrath. Disheartened, Doc leaves. Doc rejoins the regulators, and together they head to Lincoln, where Billy kills the corrupt Sheriff Brady and the gang takes out his deputies. They later meet with a furious Alex, who informs them that their deputy badges have been revoked. Now officially outlaws, Billy argues that their actions will draw President Hayes' attention to Murphy's corruption. Resolute, the regulators remove their badges, fully embracing their new status. Charley visits a brothel, seeking comfort by simply holding one of the women. Meanwhile, at a saloon, a bounty hunter boasts about his plans to kill Billy the Kid for the $200 reward. Billy cleverly tricks the man, secretly removing all his bullets, and then kills the overconfident bounty hunter. The gang flees to Mexico, but John Kinney tracks them relentlessly. Fearful and outnumbered, the group argues about their next move, with the odds stacked 100-5 against them. Chavez and Charley suggest heading to California for safety, but Billy insists that all they need to do is take down Murphy to end their troubles once and for all. While in Mexico, Billy relaxes in a bathtub while Doc writes a letter to Governor Axtell on Billy's behalf, suggesting a meeting to negotiate his surrender. At the end of the letter, however, Billy adds a postscript saying he has changed his mind and the governor can kiss his ass. Meanwhile, Charley meets a woman, marries her, and celebrates with dancing and festivities. During the celebration, Pat Garrett, soon to be appointed sheriff, arrives with grim news. Murphy's men plan to kill Alex McSween and his family the next day. The regulators urge Charley to stay behind since he just got married, but he insists on joining them. The next day, the regulators arrive at Alex's home in Lincoln to warn him of the impending attack. Soon after, they find themselves surrounded by Murphy's men, including the notorious outlaw John Kinney and his gang. Realizing too late that they've been lured into a trap, the regulators endure an intense all-day shootout. Murphy's men, believing there are at least 30 people inside the house, hesitate to storm in. U.S. Army troops arrive to support Murphy, who comes with Yen's son. Yen runs inside the house and reunites with Doc. Murphy orders the soldiers to set the house on fire. Alex's wife is allowed to leave unharmed, and Chavez manages to slip away. Trapped in the burning attic, the gang starts tossing Alex's belongings out the window, including a trunk hiding Billy, who uses it to launch a surprise attack on their assailants. Amid the chaos, Chavez returns with the rescued horses. Charley and Kinney kill each other in a shootout, while Doc and Yen manage to escape together. Steve helps a wounded Chavez onto a horse, but is gunned down while covering their escape. Alex is killed by a Gatling gun, but Billy survives and kills Murphy by shooting him between the eyes before making his escape. In the epilogue, Doc narrates the fates of those involved. Chavez found work at a farm in California, while Doc moved east and married Yen's son. Alex's widow became one of the most prominent cattlewomen of all time, and Murphy's empire of corruption collapsed. Billy continued his outlaw life until he was killed by Pat Garrett and buried beside Charley at Fort Sumner. Later, someone etched the word "pals" on their shared gravestone. If you enjoyed this video, don't be shy to hit the like button, and if you disliked it, hit the dislike button twice, just to be sure. It would be best if you watched the whole movie. Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe for more videos like this.